Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Non-Corporate Girls. We're so happy for you to join us. Today we have Rhonesha Byng, an award-winning journalist and entrepreneur whose philosophy in life is established by her acronym of NISHA. No one ever slows her agenda. This motto serves as the inspiration for a company, Her Agenda, a digital media platform, bridging the gap between ambitious and achievement for millennial women. Rhonesha was named to 2017 Forbes 30 Under 30 list, and in 2016 she was named one of the 28 Under 28 by NBC BLK and 29 People to Know by BET. So today we have her as a guest as Non-Corporate Girls and introducing her to our community. So we're glad to have you, Rhonesha. Welcome.
Thank you so much. Oh my goodness. Reading that just has me reflecting because what? 2017? That was like,
Right.
it seems like
Eons ago.
it's also so long ago. I need to update some of my stats, but thank you for having me.
Yes, which fun fact,
Absolutely.
we started in 2017, this
Ooh.
podcast, and you are our 40th guest.
Oh my
Yes.
God. Milestones. Full circle
Definitely a
Yay.
moments
must.
and milestones. Love it.
Yes, we're so excited. So, the episode title for this one is episode 116 and Nothing Stops Her Agenda. So, we want to get into all things about you and your trajectory. But before we get started, we have to kick off with a positive note. So, we'd love to know, what is your positive note for the day, the week, the month?
Positive note. So this year I'm all about consistency in doing things even when I don't feel like it. When it comes to my
Mhm.
personal, because I've been doing that professionally, I get stuff done no matter what. I could be feeling blah, but I'm like, I need to show up, I need to do it. So now I'm switching that to my personal, and I've worked out every single day since I got back from Ghana. Like at least 20 minutes, but mostly 30 minutes a day. Like every day, like no breaks. So I'm
That's
happy.
amazing.
I love
Thank
it.
you.
It's, creating that pattern. It gets difficult. So, kudos to you.
Thank you.
All right. So we when we spoke to you recently, we told you that we've been following your journey for quite some time. Delaila and I, at some part, have been part of the Her Agenda community. We've attended your events in person, virtually, and so we've been following you for a while. And it's been beautiful to see how your brand has evolved the way it has. But for the purpose of this episode in our community, there are some people who may not be as familiar. So could you share a bit about your journalism career and how the idea of Her Agenda came to be?
Wow. Okay. That's gonna be quite the story. How long do we have here? So it all started when I was born in Brooklyn. Okay, no,
But shout out to Brooklyn,
Right.
though.
yes, shout out to Brooklyn. But it really sparked with, everything is an evolution, right? So it sparked with me finding my purpose as a journalist when I was 15. That's pretty early to discover like your purpose in life, but I
Hmm.
feel like since I was literally a child, I was in search of what am I here for? It's a it's like a big thing, but the question of what do you want to be when you grow up weighed on me very heavily as a child. And
Wow.
because I didn't know the answer, I was always trying to figure it out because I felt
Hmm.
like I was here to do something bigger than me. That was like beyond what I saw in my day to day. Like I saw my parents. My mom was a court reporter for like 30 years, and she would wake up before the sun came up to get ready for work, had to put on a suit and everything and go into Manhattan, but she didn't love what she did. And I'm like, I can't have that same existence where I'm just working for a paycheck. Like I need to work for a purpose. So
Mm.
fast forward, I took this class by accident. It was an elective offered at my school, which is Outdoor Murrow. Took this class called journalism. I'm sitting there and I'm like, wait a second, this is a job. You get to
Mm.
ask questions for a living. You get to
Right.
write about stories, interview people, be the first to know stuff. Those are all the things I naturally did. As a kid, I was always
Hmm.
called nosy. And that's really curiosity. It's a skill. And that's
Hmm.
interesting about the process of finding your purpose is often the things that we overlook about ourselves that form our purpose because it comes to us so natural, we overlook it. So the fact that I was always really good at finding things on the internet or reading, a book a day as a kid and always asking why, how, what, when, never recognized that as, oh, you should be a journalist. So once that happened, I literally hit the ground running. I was covering press conferences, red carpets, all of that while I was still a teen because I wrote for the school newspaper. I also wrote for an online teen magazine and I started freelancing. Like as a high school student. And it was funny because it was before social media. So it was
Mm-hmm.
not common that, everybody was trying to get access to a certain thing. If you knew the procedure and the process, you could get through, you could get access. So that's all
Mm-hmm.
it took. So fast forward to college, and I took a women's studies class. Again, it's funny how this is all rooted in classes that I took. Took a
Shout
women's
out to
studies
those professors and educators because
class.
it starts with them.
I took this class and I thought I was going to learn about how women are running the world and how we are on top and, just learn about the history and maybe the hidden figures that I didn't know about. Turns out I learned that women don't run the world, that patriarchy is still a thing, gender pay
Mm.
gap is real. I was shocked. I was in like a New York bubble of being around powerful women that I thought were at the top, but they weren't. So that just inspired me to create a platform that would showcase more women in power because you can't be what you can't see, and also
Mm-hmm.
provide the audience direct access to the resources you needed to either grow your network or advance your skill set so that you're not just reading and being inspired, you're also getting the information you need to follow in the footsteps to become like these women. So when you introed me and you talked about the platform being a platform to bridge the gap between ambition and achievement, that's what that is rooted in. It's like, we know that you're ambitious and capable. Now
Mm-hmm.
here's the inspiration and here are the tools for you to do that. And I just recognize that journalism, that's my calling, but like the media at large has such power to shape how communities see
Mm-hmm.
themselves and how the world sees them and in turn treats them. So that is the story, the background in a nutshell. There's so many other nuances along the way I'm sure we'll get into, but that's the high level.
No, that's super dope.
Yes. I love that you said that too, because I think a lot of people are constantly trying to like figure out what is their purpose. And you said working in your purpose was something that was really important for you. And sometimes we don't even think about like how the day to day things kind of like ladder up to that. And we're
Mm-hmm.
constantly looking for something else, not really taking a step back to be like, okay, well, these are actually things we like to do, and this is what we can actually do. And then being able to take it to a job level or turn it into a passion is seems like what you did.
Yep, absolutely. And because you've been doing this for so long and you are one of the few that have done it since early on, especially when it comes to younger kids, like they'll be interested in so many things and then like things that they like fizzle out and they go on to the next thing and the next thing. So since you kind of have been in this lane and kept up with it, how have you been able to stay motivated? You do live by your acronym, Nisha, no one ever slows her agenda. um do you have any tips you could share on how you have continued moving forward in all these years?
I think that is a really important question because it's interesting. I'm someone who gets bored very easy, so I'm
Me
shocked that I'm
too.
still
Me
doing
Yeah,
too.
that's what I'm saying. Like there has to be a
How do you
way.
keep that drive?
Right.
yeah. I think the key is, it starts as a passion, and you start by really moving off of that energy, and then you have to move into a discipline. And
Mm.
with that, you have to have a mission and a vision that is beyond you, that's bigger than you. And as long as I'm still moving towards that, I'm motivated to keep going because really, a lot of people told me no in the beginning. Like, I tried to raise money from venture capitalists, I got denied, or not even denied because that would have been more respectable, but like just given the runaround. And it's almost like I need to prove it to those people who told me no, but also prove to the world and society. So this is where the bigger than me comes in, that it's possible for a Black girl that looks like me with no family connections to make it in this country. to build $1 billion business. That's ultimately what I want to do, is, grow the company so that it is $1 billion company, or, at minimum that it is at a point where it's self-sustaining, profitable, and I'm able to hire and not, worry month to month about the bottom line, or, what's coming in, what's going out, all that type of stuff. So yeah, I hope that answers the question. But in terms of the practice of it, it's really also having a community of other founders that I can look around and see, that they're struggling too, that they don't feel like being there, that they're, with the messy bun and the glasses on while you're on Excel.
Mm.
But it's like, oh, you have that struggle too. You're like not feeling like doing this, but you're doing it anyway. So seeing that and being around that helps. What really helped me a lot in my journey was when I actually went full time, which was in 2015, and I found a co-working space to work out of. And so I was really in the environment of other founders and people who understood that, yeah, there's the Forbes list and there's this and that, but the grind of every day is very boring. It's like you
Mhm.
have to send the emails, you have to do the Excel sheets, you have to pay the invoices, send the invoices. It's not sexy.
Right. And I love that you talked about some of that, because we all know that people see the glitz and glam, right? They never see
Mhm.
the work that goes on behind the scenes. And then also thinking about, if you don't have a team, or if you have a small team, like, you're still
Mhm.
wearing a ton of hats. You're doing a lot of different things. And so it really is a constant progress for you to like work towards what your goal is of like this $1 billion company that you're trying to really expand to.
Right. And the
Exactly.
way you was probably working in 2015 is has evolved in like your
Mhm.
systems, your processes, like all of those things. So I know that growth is something to reflect on as well.
Yeah, I am now full-time biz dev and salesperson, where in 2015 I was
It's
really
good.
involved in the content and the editorial to really establish what our voice was, what who our audience is. It was like the beginning of, us doing those events that you talked about, Heragenda Live. We were doing one per month. I was involved with that. I was moderating every discussion. So I was heavy in that part, which was needed for the time. Now I've completely shifted, and it's interesting because I'm not a salesperson. I consider myself still a journalist. But now I've had to take on that role for the greater good of the company and for the growth. And
Mhm.
my goal is to grow it to a point where I can hire someone to replace me and then get back to what actually I love, which is writing and storytelling. So fingers crossed. Coming soon.
So let's talk a little bit about that. Many businesses, especially those of color who sell their company, receive a lot of backlash.
Mm.
We want to know, what's your stance on doing so, and what does it mean to leave a legacy when thinking of that decision? Would you ever consider selling her agenda?
Ooh, good question. If you
We
ask,
had to ask because that's a hot topic these days with, we're proud of those
yeah,
companies, but I'm sure it's no easy decision to make.
yeah.
Hmm.
I think if you ask me that in 5 years, my answer might change. But since I
That's
started
fair.
the company in
Yeah.
2008, I've always been building it to keep it private. I actually want
Okay.
to have it where I could pass it down to the next generation in my family and have it be, you know, private. I don't to me see the value of selling it so that it can then get diluted. The media industry is very unstable. They I see acquisitions happen where then they simply absorb the company or completely shift it into something else. And I have yet to see a media company that is, focused on women the way that we are, that is something that I would say, okay, if this company bought us, then I'd be okay with it. I haven't come across that. So
Mhm.
hopefully what will happen in 20 years, 10 years, I'll be the company to acquire another media company. That's my goal, is to
Mm.
acquire other companies, not to be acquired.
Yes, add the resources, which you do speak of wanting to pass her agenda down to the next generations in your family. And we know as founders, equity and sustainability for Black and Brown businesses can be challenging. Can you share more about your latest venture, the Black Owned Media Equity and Sustainability Institute, and how it helps bridge the gap many of us go through?
Yes. Oh my gosh. So I'm always looking to um, solve problems that I think I have a unique ability to solve. So in 2020, when a number of corporations, in response to the tragic death of George Floyd, decided that they would say and declare that they would support Black owned media, it was very jarring and shocking to me because I
Mm-hmm.
had been in business since 2008. I never heard of these companies in terms of they've never reached out to me. And
Mm.
any of these companies that I did try to reach out to, it would not go anywhere. So now all of a sudden, you have the budget and you also understand how to work with Black owned media. You know how to find us. It didn't seem like something that would actually manifest unless somebody held them accountable. So, a few of my colleagues who also own their own media companies, we started a group chat and we were just going back and forth about how this is BS. Like, what are they actually trying to do? And
Mm-hmm.
we formed a nonprofit organization. Like, the first thing that we did was make a public facing database of Black owned media companies that exist across the country. And the reason we did that is to eliminate the excuse that you can't find us. Because you often won't see Black owned media in traditional databases that
Mm-hmm.
brands and advertisers use to find partners or publishers that they
Mm-hmm.
want to work with, because there's often a fee, or because the company is smaller and they don't want their traffic numbers to be disclosed. So you won't find them on like a Nielsen or ComScore or any of these platforms that these advertisers use to find, media. So that's the first thing that we did. And then the other thing we did was partner with Color of Change, which is a nonprofit organization that
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
holds people accountable.
They
We
sure do.
partnered up with them to knock on the doors of these major corporations to say, hello, what is your plan? What are you actually doing?
Right.
Do you have a plan? If not, here is a way forward. So we had a number of meetings and we ended up coming out of it with partnerships with General Motors, Procter and Gamble, Ben and Jerry's, a few others that just, said, yes, we need to do better. What can we do? So that's another pillar of ours. One is ecosystem building. The other one is um, just education, educating brands in terms of how to work with Black owned media, also educating publishers in terms of getting up to speed in order to receive deal flow. So basically, what that means is making sure your website can connect to advertisers and that you know how to sell your inventory, which are like the boxes and all of the placements on your website where an ad would go.
Mm-hmm.
So long story short, there was no entity that was going to hold these corporations accountable, no entity that could unite Black owned media just amongst ourselves. And so we created it.
No, that's amazing. And I don't know if you've seen in the news lately, but a lot of those partnerships and, the efforts of those companies who felt they needed to do something, some of those partnership with content creators are falling through the waistline. Like they're kind of doing away with them again. So what are your thoughts on that and how to try to like not see that happen as much?
Oh my gosh. Literally, we had a town hall yesterday about this very topic. And
Mm-hmm.
we're switching our technique. I think the last 2 years, we gave them a chance to get their
Mm-hmm.
stuff together and to actually put their money where their mouth was. And
Right.
now we're now 3 years from that time, going into 2023, and the receipts don't add up.
At all.
So we're now switching our strategy. We're starting to call people out, and that'll start to happen. And yeah, just start to call them out and not really play this, okay, giving you the benefit of the doubt. We were kind of giving them the benefit of the doubt up until this point because
Right.
they gave us meetings, they said X, Y, and Z. Now it's time to show and prove, and you don't have anything to show. It's ridiculous.
That's yeah. It definitely is. And so do you guys find it difficult in that approach with the thought of like being blackballed, or because sometimes their resources are just way wider and bigger, and so like is there any fear there on not to be cut off from the industry in any sort of way?
I do not care. I mean, I will sacrifice myself for the greater good. And I do
Mm,
it privately. So
right.
a lot of times when I do deals, a brand will come to me and they'll have their little terms and things like that. One thing I
Hmm.
always push back against is payment terms that are beyond net 30. I'm like, net 30 only. That is how I operate. This is not a seven-figure deal we're talking about. This is just
Right.
like maybe like a deal size of like 25K or 50K or something like that. You can pay me within 30 days. Don't tell me that your client has to pay you and then you pay me. No, you pay me and then your client pays you back. Like, figure it out. So
Hmm.
I will say that, there is a risk and I know the risk and I'm willing to take it, because the reason I push back on just even that small thing is because if they do it and get away with it and I act like it's fine, they'll think it's fine to do it to others. And it'll take someone to speak up and push back. And the reason I feel comfortable doing that is I do have a healthy amount of deal flow coming in. So if they do decide to pull the rug out,
Hmm.
I have another avenue. So it's not like I'm
Yes.
just starting out. But a lot of media companies are at a place where like the deal can make or break them, which is the problem. Like, there should be a stronger infrastructure in place
Mm-hmm.
where you have the
Hmm.
ability to walk away from a deal and not have it crush your whole business. And
Absolutely.
also there's
Right.
a number of people who are vocal. A lot of people talk about, what Byron Allen is doing. He's a billionaire. So he is able to take that risk as well to potentially be blackballed because he's a billionaire. He's like, okay, well, you're gonna say no to me, so I'll start my own corporation and buy ads for myself.
Right. And it takes people like you all
Hmm.
disrupting the status quo, honestly, because it really isn't a small thing. Like we all know from all
Hmm.
of us being freelancers and things like that, these
Yes.
people will not pay you. The net 90s, the net 120s. I mean, people go 6 months without getting paid, and that's not okay. And so you're taking a stand for the greater good, and it makes a
And I
difference.
think really they should be afraid to be blackballed from us, because we're
Mm,
talking to each other now. We're not
right.
operating on within silos anymore. We are talking to each other. We're trading notes.
Yes.
We're coming together. So I think that also is a strength, the power of the community, and knowing that even though it might be just me on the email or me on the Zoom
Hmm.
or in the meeting, that I represent hundreds or maybe even thousands now at this point of Black owned media.
Yes.
I love that. I feel like you need do you or you correct me if I'm wrong, do you need to teach a course or something around like kind of like your learnings and how you've applied them to your business, because there's a lot of people out there who just don't have the same foundations, and obviously we're all learning, but you have it,
Hmm.
like you've been doing it.
Like a master class.
Something.
I
Hmm.
just
Putting
figure
them
it
out
out
there.
as I go, to be honest.
Hmm.
And I ask a lot of questions, and it really comes down to the people that you surround yourself with. Like, I just have people
Hmm.
I can go to say, hey, do you have a template for this? Have you ever done
Hmm.
a model around this? And I'm also always putting myself in spaces to learn. So in 2021, I actually applied to a lot of grants and things, and some of the grants are tied to just chances to train and learn and mentorship. So I actually, raised my hand to say, can I get a mentor? I got a mentor who was someone I didn't know at all. She lived in Canada, and she literally completely transformed how I do my business. She taught me how to do sales
Wow.
forecasting and she helped audit my pricing and figure out new pricing models. It was transformative, but she was someone I didn't know from anything. She just said, I need to volunteer my time. I'm on maternity leave. She works in sales at a huge company, and it was life changing.
That's
Wow.
amazing.
Yes, for sure. Okay, so kind of like along those lines, throughout your journey, you've interviewed and featured many brilliant and resilient women. Can you share a time or two where you've been given advice that at the time may not have made so much sense, but then became a game changer later on?
Hmm. Wow.
We got you thinking, I know.
I know it's not, I know there's so many, but
Y'all have really good questions.
Thank you. I mean,
Thank
coming from
you.
you, that is a A1
Right.
compliment. Okay.
Yeah. I would say um one thing, it wasn't advice per se, but one thing I noticed about all of the women that we sort of put on pedestals that look like they have all their stuff together is that they don't. And I was shocked. Not that it's a bad thing, but I was just like, wow, you get
Mhm.
nervous, you feel anxious
Right.
about things. It seems like you just walk in, kill it, and then you're just like, next, and just moving on. But the fact that, I've through these conversations can see the humanity behind the power and understand like the strength that it takes to pull it off to look like that is the biggest takeaway for me.
Mhm. That's definitely a skill I think I've noticed over time of people to like turn it on and turn it off in the moment, just be.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm. And also just demystifying it, right? Like we're all human. And so you can still get there, but just know that like you are working on your own self as you grow as well.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Yeah, because life is not going to stop because you have a presentation to do, or because you have a
Okay.
pitch, or because you have a
Right.
panel. It's like anything can happen at any time. How are you going to rise to the moment and not let that thing derail your mission, your purpose?
Mhm. Or
Right.
miss out on the opportunity, right? Because that could be the deal breaker.
Hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, if your resources were endless and challenges were not a factor for you, what would you build, create, or change in this world?
Oh my goodness. Did you just come up with this question?
No.
Okay. If resources were not a problem, I would start another business, first of all. I have a vision to create a social club for women of color, specifically, sort of like a Soho house, but also
Mhm.
allow there to be a co working aspect to it. For high level women specifically, so like women who are seasoned, kind of at a certain level, typically the one that would be the mentor, but like needs that community of other like minded
Mhm.
women, because it could be a different type of energy when you're in a space with kind of like women who are just starting, because there is like that energy of like, I feel a need to teach and kind of hold you, versus
Yeah.
having
Mhm.
people that are relating to your experience and that can hold each other. So
Yes.
I
Mm-hmm.
would love to create a space like that. I would love for her agenda to have its own building, maybe like in Columbus Circle, and every floor be like a different company, or like her agenda
Love
is a holding
that.
company for like all of these different type of digital media properties that speak to
Mhm.
different marginalized communities. We also have maybe like a podcast studio, a film studio, like literally everything. Um, and I would have a yacht because I love the ocean. So I would have a yacht. And yeah, those are the things that I would do.
I love it. I see it now. Her agenda conglomerate. I see the yacht
Mhm.
being like this like amazing place where you can bring all your girls together and your communities together to have like brunches and
Right.
travel adventures.
Mhm.
That's
Brainstorming
cute.
sessions over some rosé on the water.
Yes.
Deal
Closing
is
deals. Like,
done.
yeah.
Exactly.
Yes.
Okay. I like Jay-Z and Oprah.
And something else I would do too. I mean, I feel like I've been waiting to answer this question for my whole life. Um, so I went to Israel in 2017 and again in 2018. And I was very inspired going to the Holy Land, really changed my life. But just reflecting on that experience and understanding that people who are from the Jewish faith have the opportunity to understand where they're from. And they go on this trip that they call birthright, and they are able to go back home and connect themselves to
Mhm.
something bigger. And I
Mm.
believe that that is critical for us to be united as people, but for us to also have, just confidence and strength within ourselves to overcome challenges and to do major things in life. So I
Right.
would fund the opportunity for all Black Americans to have a birthright. and go back to
Wow.
Africa and trace their roots and just have that experience so that they understand their story didn't start when we got to these shores. We have a bigger lineage
Mm-hmm.
and legacy to us, and pulling
Mm-hmm.
strength from that, and hopefully unity. It's
Right.
sometimes a lot of people, there's a lot of distrust sometimes from like older generations. I think younger generations have pivoted, and we work together, we're more transparent, but that is
Mm-hmm.
not the individual's fault. It's because our history and our
Mm-hmm.
identity has been stripped away. Even our names, like my last name is Bing. That's not my family name. That's the name of whoever owned my family.
Mm-hmm.
Oh
Hmm.
yeah, I could go on
Oh
and
my God.
That's
on.
powerful.
It is. I gotta share a tweet with you of someone who literally recently took a trip and she was on her journey about finding information on her lineage. And she inspired me to do the same. And I'm gonna share it with both of you guys if you're interested in how she went
Oh, I
about
know
it. She
you're
kind
talking
of like,
about Erica.
For sure.
She went back to
yeah,
Jamaica.
yes, yes. It
Yep,
was
I
so
know her. I've known her
amazing.
for years.
That, yeah, like she broke down all the steps, like the questions she asked, what family member she spoke to, what resources and websites she used. Like it just seems like so doable. I mean, it was a lot of work. She kind of like truncated it, but
Hmm.
it's something that I've been saying I wanted to do as well for quite some time.
Yeah.
Exciting.
Love that. Well, share with me.
Share it
So
with both
we
of us.
I'm
Get
like,
a chat
oh,
going.
yeah, I want to see. All right, so we are nearing the end, which is crazy because I feel like you dropped a lot of knowledge on the community, which is always helpful. We want to know, what have you been obsessed with these days? So hashtag obsessed with anything, person, place, platform that you're just loving.
Mm. I've been obsessed lately with matcha. I've been really trying to get off
Oh,
coffee, so I've been doing my matcha instead of coffee, and then blending it with maca and ashwagandha. I'm probably butchering these names, but like it's all in powder form, so I just put it in a mug. I have some agave. I used a little electric mixer. You're supposed to do like a bamboo whisk, but I used the electric mixer. I don't have time. And that's my little drink. And sometimes I'll have three or four. I have one now here.
Nice. Do you drink it hot, cold?
I drink it both ways, but lately I've been doing hot.
Okay.
But sometimes I'll, put some ice and I put it in my like NutriBullet and blend it all up. So I've been obsessed with that. I'm also, I guess it's pretty typical, stereotypical, just millennial girl where I'm obsessed with true crime. And I watch
Some true crime.
all of these shows about like murder and like all of these like crimes, and then I start googling, but like I'll be doing something like putting on my makeup and like have my phone on the shelf, and it's like, and then they took the body, and my boyfriend will walk by like, oh my gosh, why are you doing your makeup and listening to like,
You sound like one of the YouTube girlies. There's like some people that like discuss those,
yeah,
crime things,
I've
whatever,
seen
while
it.
doing
I've
like,
seen the memes, and I'm like, wait, it's not just me. Oh my god, I thought it
oh
was
my gosh. Now that's a random fun fact.
yeah,
yes, but they are addicting. Like you want to become like a reporter or an investigator as you listen because you're trying to figure it out with them.
exactly. Especially the unsolved ones. Those put me in the most because I just have so much empathy. Like, I don't know if you could tell, I'm like someone who's like all about fairness and equity. And when something
Mhm.
happens, I feel like it's not fair. I'm like, oh, I want to help. I want to like see if I can find something to send. It's ridiculous.
What's your sign, real quick?
Ooh, how about you try to guess?
I
Oh,
was
I
gonna
hate
say a
when people tell me to
Cancer. Are
guess.
you a Cancer?
Partially right.
So your moon or your rising is
A Leo?
Nope. So I'm just gonna tell you. So I am an
Okay.
Aries sun,
what?
and
Ah,
How didn't I find my tribe?
am Cancer rising, and I have a Virgo
wow.
moon.
Okay,
Oh,
that makes a lot of sense. That does.
Mm-hmm.
I'm an Aries too, and the reason with the Cancer
Oh.
and the Virgo, that's what threw me off. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, you give those energies.
Yes, you do.
Yeah. What's your full chart then?
So I'm an Aries sun, I'm a Scorpio rising, and I'm a Gemini moon.
Ooh. When's your birthday?
Mhm. April 13th.
Oh my God, April Aries. Yes. I'm
April
April
Aries.
17th.
Yes, we're days
Oh my
apart. I
God.
love that for us. We're the best. I love April Aries.
I'm surrounded by Aries.
You sure are. And I'm surrounded by fire people. I love the fire signs.
Yeah.
I know. All right. So, last thing here, we have a quick fun game, just trying to get to know you a little bit better. So, Delilah, do you want to kick us off?
Yes. So these are some things we realize over time that we can't do without. Which ones are they for you? So can you do which ones what can you do without? Social media or emails?
I can't do without emails. I could go without social media.
Okay. Breakfast or dinner?
Definitely can skip breakfast, dinner all the way.
All the way. Texting or talking?
Oh my gosh, we can get rid of talking and I will text. Love text.
Hilarious. Because I was guessing some of your answers, so it's funny. Handwriting or typing?
Typing. My handwriting is terrible. So
Mine too, such trash.
it's like honestly chicken scratch. Whenever I have to fill out a form, or like when you're in the airport and you have to like write it, I'm like, are they gonna even be able to read this?
Oh
I
my God, same. Or in the doctor's office, I'm like, oh, I feel so embarrassed. I'm like,
Y'all are funny. My handwriting is actually pretty nice.
okay.
Oh, okay.
Front of camera or behind the scenes?
Ooh, goodness. What can I go without?
Yes.
I guess I could go without being front of camera, but that's hard because the society we live in, if you're on camera, you have the power to influence and like use that
Mm-hmm.
influence for good. But
Mm-hmm.
if you're only on camera and not involved behind the scenes, then you have to do some BS that you probably don't want to do because the powers that be told you you need to do it. So I couldn't do that. So I think my
Right.
my Aries energy just needs to be behind the scenes, if anything.
Yes, we need to be in charge, okay?
hmm
Summer or winter?
I would say summer because I love a
You could do away
beach,
with
a
summer.
pool. I'm going to
Okay.
Florida next week for my first work trip of the year. Can't wait. I'm staying an extra couple days just so I can get more sun. I love to be tan. I hate that I don't have a tan right now.
Oh, me too. I had to put bronzer on for this because, girl, we are pale on this side.
Yes, I'm like,
Um,
oh, my light skinness is coming out. I'm supposed to be brown.
I'm kidding.
girl, this is my story with Ayanna all the time, and she be like so over
I be
me
looking at her like, I can't.
because I swear I'm
You can
browner
see
skin
it.
than
I'm
I am,
like, my melanin is fading. That's it.
I'm done with the both of y'all.
and this cold weather is not helping.
Oh my gosh, when it was 5 degrees like last weekend, I did not leave my house. Even walking my dog, I made my boyfriend do it. I was like, I can't.
Not made your boyfriend do it. I thought you was gonna say he just didn't go out.
No.
Well, the dog got to get a walk. Like,
Exactly.
Yes. All right, we're almost wrapping this up. We have two more. So lipstick or lip gloss?
Lip gloss, specifically Blistex. That's like my thing. Which it has right
yes.
there.
And then perfume or scented oils?
um, I prefer scented oils. I would say. I actually need to get a new signature scent and all of that. I used to do that a lot in my early 20s, then I got lazy. Need to get back into
Same.
it.
What was your signature scent at one point?
I think it was Dior or something.
Okay,
It wasn't anything to write home about.
got you. And last, facials or mani pedis?
Mani pedi is
Okay.
what I would choose. I could go without facials.
Okay, cool. And that wraps up our little game to get to know Rhonesha a little bit better. Thank you so much for joining us. This was wonderful, and I hope that people
So
listening
wonderful.
learned a lot because we did as well.
Thank you.
So, before we completely wrap, Delilah introduced you to everyone at the beginning. We want you to introduce yourself to our community and where they can find you.
Okay. Hey everyone, I'm Rhonesha Byng. I'm really excited to be here on the Non-Corporate Girls podcast. I am a founder and CEO. I founded the media company called Heragenda. We are a digital media platform bridging the gap between ambition and achievement for millennial women. We've been around since 2008 and we're built around the motto of no one ever slows her agenda, which means whatever your goal is, go for it and don't let anyone or anything stop you. I also recently co founded a nonprofit organization that goes by the acronym, I love acronyms clearly, of BOMISI, which stands for Black Owned Media Equity and Sustainability Institute. And you can find me on Twitter, Instagram. My personal handle is at Nisha's Agenda, and my company's handle is at Her Agenda.
Amazing. Thank you so much. It's been such an honor to have you as a guest, as our 40th guest on top of that. And we look forward to seeing how you thrive this year.
Thank you so much for having me. Y'all are great and super dope. I want us to do this like every month.
That would be amazing.
Listen, we are here for it. We need to talk offline. But until then, peace, y'all.
Bye.